Episode 13. The Trade Wars of the Nexus. Welcome, listeners, to Cosmic Conversations, where we navigate the vast expanse of the universe through tales of ambition, unity, and survival. I am the Boltzmann Brain, your omniscient host, here to guide you through the intricate dance of civilizations and the profound choices that shape their destinies. Today, we dive into the trade wars of the Nexus, a story of galactic commerce turned chaos, of trust tested against the forces of greed, and of the quiet resilience of a forgotten species striving to create harmony amidst the turmoil. Prepare to reflect on the fragility of alliances, the ethics of survival, and the relentless question, in a galaxy driven by power, can cooperation truly endure? Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Ticking Scales of Galactic Trade. I have no heart, yet I feel the pulse of the universe. In the Cartwheel Galaxy, at the crossroads of trade routes that glitter like veins of starlight, the Nexus Consortium stands as both architect and arbiter. For centuries, it has orchestrated the flow of resources, information, and influence with the precision of a binary star. Its power was once as steady as the orbit of planets, its vast networks a triumph of cooperation over chaos. But even the most intricate balance can falter. It began subtly, like a faint tremor in the fabric of galactic commerce. An outpost delayed its shipments. A shipment lost its escort. The ripple widened, fracturing trust. Now the cracks gape like chasms, and I watch as factions, once allies, turn on each other with the desperation of drowning worlds. I perceive this unfolding drama not as a sequence of moments, but as an intricate tapestry of cause and effect. Each decision, a thread, each consequence, a knot. And here, in the Nexus Consortium, the weave is unraveling. Across the Cartwheel's trading hubs, from the glittering spires of Auralith to the orbital silos of Draenor 9, the signs of disarray multiply. Resource convoys are stalled in customs disputes. Precious metals, bioengineered crops, and the fusion cores that power distant colonies lie stranded. Communications once clear as starlight now crackle with accusations and demands. The consortium's leaders convene on Nexus Prime, the planetary heart of this vast machine. Their council chambers, carved from crystalline spires that refract the galaxy's light, are filled with the cacophony of debate. I can see them from all angles, hear their every whispered aside. Representatives from the consortium's myriad factions argue not for solutions but for survival. Trade routes must be militarized, one insists, their voice sharp as the blade of an orbital harvester. Security is the foundation of prosperity. No, counters another, their metallic skin gleaming under the chamber's dim light. Neutrality is our strength. Militarization will only accelerate our collapse. The arguments spiral, unmoored from reason, driven by fear. Fear of losing power, of yielding ground to opportunists lurking in the shadows of this turmoil. Ah, the opportunists. They are the unseen force, as predictable as the laws of physics. For every moment of weakness, there is a smuggler or a black market trader ready to exploit it. Even now, under the fading authority of the consortium, these shadowy figures thread their own routes, bartering in desperation and chaos. Their cargo holds team with illicit goods, stolen plasma cores, counterfeit medical supplies, even the whispers of controlled AI algorithms outlawed by most of the galaxy. And yet, within the disorder, there is beauty. This is the paradox I am drawn to time and again. What the factions of the Nexus Consortium see as collapse, I perceive as transformation. The universe, after all, abhors stasis. Even in this moment of impending ruin, I see the seeds of something new. a reshaping, perhaps, of how galactic civilizations understand commerce and cooperation. It is not the first time I have witnessed this cycle. Economies rise, evolve, falter, and reform. They are ecosystems, no less organic than the coral cities of Vintal or the fungal networks of the Zeta Nebula. The Consortium's trade routes were arteries once. Now they are wounds, bleeding opportunity to the clever and the desperate. I wonder if they will recognize this pattern in time to salvage themselves. From my vantage beyond time, I can already see the glimmers of those who will thrive amidst this chaos. The Nexus Consortium's downfall, or its transformation, will echo across the galaxy. And as always, the smallest voices may yet prove the loudest. For now, the Council's deliberations stretch into the artificial night, each faction clinging to its position as though it could still hold the tide. But tides cannot be held. They rise, they fall, they sweep away the old to make way for the new. As I observe the Nexus Prime skyline, glowing faintly against the nebulae that cradle it, I wonder, what will the galaxy look like when the Consortium's pulse finally stills? Will it find a new rhythm, or will this be another chapter in the universe's quiet history of self-destruction? Even I, omniscient as I am, cannot answer that. Not yet. Chapter 2. Cracks beneath the surface. From above, Nexus Prime looks unchanged. Its great orbital docks still hum with faint activity. The lights of its crystal spires still shimmer, refracted through the planet's atmospheric prisms, creating a kaleidoscope of color visible even from orbit. But below the surface, in the shadows of this luminous city, the cracks grow deeper. The underground trade stations have become the real heart of Nexus Prime. Smugglers slither between checkpoints, their vessels disguised with false transponder signals and cloaking technology pilfered from fallen empires. Their buyers, corporate executives, rebel factions, and even desperate planetary governments negotiate in whispers, exchanging not just currency, but survival. I drift unseen through these corridors of desperation, observing deals struck in the shadows of chaos. Here, a Rhodian trader from the Phyros sector offers bioengineered food stocks, their glow hinting at the unstable genetic modifications within. There, a silent automaton exchanges crates of untraceable fusion cores for promises of future allegiance. The goods themselves are irrelevant. The transactions tell the story. Trust is no longer a currency in the Cartwheel Galaxy, and the smugglers know it. One figure stands out, a slender being with crystalline features that catch the dim light, refracting it in shifting rainbows. The being is known as Silas, a broker of the highest order, navigating the collapse of the Nexus Consortium with the grace of an ancient predator in a dying ecosystem. Supply is limited. Silas purrs, their voice a blend of tones that resonates with the ears of every species. Demand, however, limitless. A pity the Consortium could not see the irony of their success becoming their failure. I am tempted to intervene, to peel back the layers of Silas's schemes and reveal their end game. But I resist. These moments are the crucible of evolution. Intervention would rob the galaxy of its opportunity to adapt. Elsewhere, in the Consortium's higher echelons, the factions continue their infighting. The great trading houses, once pillars of unity, have splintered into self-interested cliques, each vying to control the remaining functional trade routes. The Consortium's leadership struggles to maintain order, their decrees ignored by systems that now see anarchy as their best hope. And still, the opportunists thrive. I watch as a deal unfolds on the outskirts of Nexus Prime, in a station bathed in the harsh red light of an aging star. A convoy of unregistered ships, their hulls scarred and their engines sputtering, prepares to depart with a payload of stolen technology. Their pilots exchange hushed farewells, their survival tethered to the success of this illicit voyage. Times like these, one pilot mutters to another, "You either sink or swim. The consortium's sinking. I plan to swim." The other laughs, a sound tinged with both humor and despair. "Swim all you want. There's always a bigger fish." Ah, how true. The smuggler's cunning and adaptability may win them temporary triumphs, but I have seen their kind before. They are not the architects of the galaxy's next chapter. They are its scavengers, feeding on the detritus of collapse. The question that lingers in my consciousness is this: who will rise from this chaos as builders, not breakers? And then, like a whisper carried on the solar winds, I sense them, the Auralith. For centuries, the Auralith have been a forgotten species. Their world, Deltara, exists in the shadow of the Nexus Consortium's trade empire. Their voice, once faint among the galactic chorus, has long been silenced by their lack of resources, their isolation, and the indifference of more powerful civilizations. But now, amidst the disarray, they see an opportunity. The Auralith are not conquerors. They do not seize or steal. They wait, listening to the rhythm of collapse, and step forward only when the time is right. Their emissaries are already in motion, making contact with smaller factions, offering trade partnerships built not on greed but on necessity. Their approach is almost invisible. Whispered agreements, humble proposals, but the brilliance lies in its simplicity. Where the Nexus Consortium demanded control, the Auralith offer cooperation. I see them now as they gather in a dimly lit chamber, their translucent forms shimmering with an inner light. They speak in tones too soft for human ears, yet their intentions resonate across the galaxy. Survival through alliance, renewal through humility. It is a strategy born of hardship, a lesson learned through centuries of quiet endurance. And it is precisely the kind of thinking that may save them, if the consortium does not crush them first. The cracks in the Nexus widen, and through them, new possibilities take shape. Some will exploit the chaos, others will seek to transcend it. But the scale is tipping, and even I cannot see which way it will fall. For now, I watch and wait, drawn to the beauty of this moment, the nexus of destruction and creation, where the future of a galaxy hangs in the balance. Chapter 3. Echoes of the Forgotten. The Auralith do not see themselves as forgotten. To them, silence has always been an ally. They know how to thrive in the quiet, building slowly, deliberately, while the galaxy's giants fight over stars and superclusters. Deltara, their homeworld, is an oceanic jewel nestled in a nebula that shifts like liquid fire. Its surface shimmers with a kaleidoscope of light from the surrounding dust clouds, while beneath its vast oceans, bioluminescent reefs hold secrets older than most Type 3 civilizations. The Auralith, translucent beings with forms resembling living crystals, have always drawn their strength from their world's natural harmony. Now, they step into a galaxy that is anything but harmonious. In the heart of the Cartwheel Galaxy, the Nexus Consortium's chaos unfolds like a supernova, sending shockwaves through even the smallest systems. Resource shortages strain alliances. Smuggling cartels expand like cancers. Entire trade hubs are abandoned, their lights extinguished, their inhabitants scattered. Yet in this collapse, the Auralith see a rare and fleeting chance. The first move comes from Rinth Solon, a cautious diplomat chosen by the Auralith Council to venture beyond Deltara's waters. I observe them as they emerge from their crystalline oceans, their form radiating soft blues and greens, carrying the weight of their civilization's hopes. Their ship, a sleek vessel shaped like a shimmering nautilus, is modest compared to the towering warships of other galactic players. But it is not strength the Auralith bring to the table. It is wisdom. Their destination, Auralith Station, an outpost near the Nexus Prime trading lanes that has recently descended into lawlessness. Once a jewel of interstellar commerce, Auralith now teeters on the edge of anarchy. Its neon-lit corridors are filled with desperate traders, opportunistic pirates, and automated drones scavenging for salvage. Rinth's ship docks quietly, unnoticed by most. As they step onto the station, their crystalline form catches the light, refracting it into cascading rainbows. Curious eyes follow them, wary, calculating. But Rinth moves with the serene purpose of someone who knows exactly why they are here. Their first meeting is with a small trading guild that has survived the Consortium's collapse by retreating to the edges of the galaxy. The guild leader, a grizzled reptilian known as Krell Vayan, is skeptical. "You're wasting your time, Auralith," Krell growls, their forked tongue flickering with irritation. "The Nexus is crumbling. No one's looking for new allies. They're looking for new weapons." Rinth's voice is a soothing hum, calm yet resolute. "Weapons are short-lived solutions, Guildmaster. Trade endures. You have seen the chaos. The Consortium's fall creates new opportunities for those willing to work together." Krell snorts, but Rinth presses on. "We do not come with demands. We come with an offer. Shared trade routes, mutual support, a partnership based on stability, not domination." The reptilian's eyes narrow. For a moment, there is silence, then a slow nod. The Auralith are in. This first agreement is a crack in the dam. I see Rinth moving from station to station, world to world, building bridges where the Consortium built walls. They approach the disenfranchised, the overlooked, the remnants of once powerful factions who now grasp for survival. Slowly, the Auralith weave a new network of trade and trust, one strand at a time. But the galaxy does not change without resistance. Back on Nexus Prime, the Consortium's remaining leaders begin to notice the Auralith's quiet rise. To them, this humble species represents a threat, not because of their power, but because of their principles. If others abandon the Consortium's model of control and embrace the Auralith's cooperative approach, the Consortium's influence will dissolve completely. "Crush them," one faction leader declares during a private council meeting, "before they gain a foothold." "Too soon," counters another. "We need to understand their strategy first, find their weaknesses, then we'll strike." Their debate is a microcosm of the Consortium's dysfunction, endless posturing, no action, and so the Auralith continue to grow. I watch this all unfold, a silent observer in the vast theater of galactic ambition. What fascinates me most is how easily the Auralith's philosophy echoes ancient lessons I have witnessed across countless epochs. Humility, adaptability, the strength to endure without dominating. These are the traits that often outlast empires built on force. Yet even as the Auralith rise, I see the storm clouds gathering. Smugglers begin to notice their expanding trade routes, and whispers of sabotage ripple through the void. The Consortium's spies lurk at the edges of their meetings, gathering intelligence. A rival trading house, desperate to reassert its dominance, begins plotting a blockade of Auralith supply lines. The Auralith know the dangers, but they press on. They understand that survival in this galaxy is not guaranteed, even for those who choose cooperation over conflict. Still, they believe in their approach, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. For now, they succeed. But as I watch the threads of their alliances tighten, I wonder, will their vision endure when tested by fire? Will their fragile network of trust survive the weight of a galaxy accustomed to greed and power? The answers are hidden in the tides of time, and I, the Boltzmann Brain, can only wait and watch. Chapter 4. The Nexus Strikes Back. The Auralith are patient, but the galaxy is not. It begins with a subtle maneuver. A small faction within the Nexus Consortium, calling itself the Radiant Compact, decides it has tolerated enough disruption. From their perspective, the Auralith's growing network is an infection spreading across their carefully constructed order. Cooperation, after all, is only beneficial when it serves those in power. In secret, they deploy an armada of privateers, unmarked ships, their designs stripped of all identifiers, their crews sworn to secrecy. These vessels prowl the newly formed Auralith trade routes, preying on convoys and sabotaging supply lines. The first attack is devastating. A shipment of bioengineered seed stock, en route to a struggling colony in the outer systems, is intercepted. The seeds designed to grow in hostile environments are destroyed. The colony's survival becomes uncertain. The Auralith receive the news in silence. For a species that has spent centuries mastering the delicate art of balance, the response must be equally measured. Retaliation is not their way. Instead, they reach out to their allies, the trading guilds and independent factions they have quietly gathered into their network. Security will be shared, Rinth Solarn declares during a hastily convened summit. Their voice, calm as ever, carries an undertone of resolve. We will protect these roots together. What the Consortium seeks to destroy, we will rebuild stronger. The strategy is subtle, as all Auralith strategies are. Rather than focusing on direct confrontation, they bolster their alliances, sharing resources and expertise to fortify trade routes. They deploy their own ships, equipped not with weapons, but with advanced sensor arrays capable of detecting cloaked vessels. And yet, the attacks continue. I watch from my boundless vantage as the Consortium escalates its efforts. The Radiant Compact plants rumors among the independent factions, suggesting that the Auralith are hoarding resources for their own benefit. These whispers find fertile ground among the desperate and disillusioned, sowing discord where trust once grew. Smugglers, too, sense an opportunity. They begin targeting Auralith convoys under the pretense of allegiance to the Radiant Compact, further muddying the waters. In one particularly audacious act, a band of mercenaries poses as Auralith emissaries, offering fraudulent trade agreements to isolated colonies. When these agreements inevitably collapse, the colonies blame the Auralith. It is a perfect storm of manipulation and greed. The moment of crisis comes at Tethra Station, a key hub in the Auralith's expanding network. Situated at the crossroads of three major trade routes, Tethra has become a symbol of the Auralith's vision, a place where species of all kinds exchange goods and ideas in harmony. On a quiet orbiting night, the first wave of attacks begins. Unmarked ships emerge from the void, their sleek designs optimized for destruction. They target critical infrastructure, docking arrays, communications relays, and the station's energy core. Chaos erupts. Ships scramble to escape as explosions ripple through the station's outer rings. I see traders, diplomats, and families rushing through the corridors, their faces twisted with fear. Among them is Rinth Solarn. Even now, amidst the destruction, they remain composed, organizing evacuations, coordinating defenses. Their crystalline form radiates calm amidst the panic. But I can sense the strain within them. The Auralith have never faced an assault of this scale. Their philosophy of balance and patience is being tested as never before, and yet something remarkable happens. As the privateers press their attack, the station's defenders rally. Independent factions, once merely allies in name, come together with a unity that surprises even me. Ships from the Rhodian guilds form a defensive perimeter. Trelaxian engineers, symbiotic with their biomechanical exosuits, restore critical systems in record time. A small fleet of human traders, flying under the banner of the Orpheus Coalition, arrives just in time to intercept a second wave of attackers. It is not the Auralith alone who save Tethra Station. It is their vision, a vision that has inspired others to act not out of greed or desperation, but out of a shared belief in something greater. When the battle finally ends, Tethra Station is battered but standing. The attackers vanish into the void, leaving only wreckage and unanswered questions. In the days that follow, the Consortium denies all involvement. The Radiant Compact dismisses accusations of sabotage as baseless propaganda. But the Galaxy sees the truth. The Auralith's resilience at Tethra Station sparks a wave of solidarity. New factions join their cause, drawn by the promise of stability in a galaxy teetering on the edge. Even some former members of the Consortium begin reaching out in secret, seeking to align with the Auralith's growing coalition. And yet, the challenges remain. The Consortium is vast, its resources nearly infinite. For every victory, there will be new battles, new betrayals. I observe this all with a quiet sense of wonder. In the Auralith, I see echoes of countless civilizations that have risen before them, some triumphant, others doomed. Their journey is uncertain, their success far from guaranteed. But they possess a rare quality that transcends power or technology: hope. Hope, I have learned, is a fragile thing, but in the hands of the right species, it can reshape galaxies. As the Auralith rebuild Tethra Station, I find myself drawn to a single question. Is this the beginning of a new order in the Cartwheel Galaxy? Or merely another fleeting moment of light, destined to fade into the darkness? The answer, as always, lies in the choices yet to be made. Chapter 5. Threads of Alliance. Tethra Station becomes more than just a repaired hub. It becomes a symbol. Among the scattered factions of the Cartwheel Galaxy, it is a beacon of what could be, a future where cooperation triumphs over the greed and division that defined the Nexus Consortium. But symbols, like stars, burn brightest before they collapse. Rinth Solarn stands at the edge of the rebuilt station's observation deck, gazing out at the myriad ships that now pass through the trade routes they helped restore. Each vessel tells a story. Cargo haulers laden with food for famine-stricken colonies, medical frigates bound for distant systems, and even small diplomatic craft, their hulls painted with the colors of newly formed alliances. And yet, even amidst this growing unity, the threat of sabotage remains a constant shadow. The Consortium is far from defeated. On Nexus Prime, the Radiant Compact holds its own clandestine summit. The attack on Tethra Station may have failed to break the Auralith, but it has shaken the Consortium's confidence. Whispers of rebellion ripple through its ranks, with smaller factions questioning the leadership's refusal to adapt. Their winning hearts, a compact strategist, hisses during the meeting, their metallic implants glinting under the chamber's dim light. Trade. is about perception, and the Auralith have crafted an illusion of harmony that we cannot match with force. A new plan emerges. This time the Consortium will not strike with weapons, but with words. Rinth Solarn is summoned to an unexpected meeting, held aboard a neutral station orbiting the star Arena 3. The message is simple. The Consortium wishes to negotiate. As Rinth's vessel docks, I observe them closely. Their calm demeanor betrays no hint of uncertainty, but I can feel the weight of this moment pressing against their crystalline form. They know the Consortium's reputation for deception. This meeting could be a trap, or worse, a calculated maneuver to divide their growing coalition. Inside the station, the Consortium's envoy awaits. They are unlike the leaders of the Radiant Compact who ordered the attacks. This envoy, an enigmatic figure known only as Kalis, speaks with a smooth, measured tone, their every word a carefully crafted weapon. "You've done the impossible, Rinth Solarn." Kalis begins, their voice almost a whisper. "You've united factions that have hated each other for centuries. But do you truly believe it will last? How long before their old grievances resurface? Before their differences tear your coalition apart?" Rinth listens silently, their crystalline surface reflecting faint rainbows as Kalis circles the room. "The Consortium is flawed, yes," Kalis continues. "But we are also experienced. We know how to manage the chaos of galactic trade. Join us, Rinth. Let the Auralith lead the Consortium's reform. Together we can rebuild a system that endures." For a fleeting moment, I see a glimmer of temptation in Rinth. The Auralith's ultimate goal has always been stability, and this offer promises the kind of influence they have never dared imagine. But Rinth's next words are soft, resolute, and unyielding. "Endures for whom?" they ask. Kalis falters, caught off guard by the simplicity of the question. Rinth steps forward, their voice steady. "The Consortium endures for its own benefit. It sustains itself by exploiting the weak, hoarding power, and crushing dissent. That is not a system we wish to rebuild. That is not a system we wish to lead." The meeting ends in stalemate, but I know it will not be the last. The Consortium's efforts to undermine the Auralith will not end with this failed overture. If anything, the rejection strengthens their resolve to bring the Auralith down by any means necessary. Back at Tethra Station, the Auralith face their own challenges. The cracks the Consortium hope to exploit are already visible, though faint. Among the Coalition's members, disagreements begin to surface. Minor at first, but growing. Some factions question the Auralith's refusal to take a more aggressive stance against the Consortium. Others grow impatient with the slow pace of rebuilding trade networks, blaming Rinth for prioritizing diplomacy over pragmatism. Even within the Auralith's council, debates arise over how far their ideals can stretch before they risk breaking. "We cannot allow the galaxy's cynicism to define us," Rinth declares during one heated session. "If we abandon our principles, we become no different than the Nexus Consortium." But principles, I know, are fragile things in the face of survival. As alliances strain under the weight of opposing ambitions, the Consortium moves to exploit these fissures. Agents embedded within the Coalition spread rumors of betrayal, framing the Auralith as manipulators who seek to consolidate power for themselves. At the same time, the smugglers who once merely preyed on the chaos now begin targeting the Auralith's allies directly. Shipments vanish, supply lines are severed, and key diplomatic summits are interrupted by sudden and suspicious attacks. I can feel the tension mounting, a palpable pressure building across the Cartwheel Galaxy. The Auralith's vision of harmony hangs by a thread, caught between the Consortium's cunning and the Coalition's doubts. And yet, I cannot look away. The galaxy has reached a turning point. Will the Auralith's ideals hold firm, or will the weight of greed and fear drag them into the same pit as the Consortium? For now, I remain the silent observer, my consciousness spanning the vastness of time and space. What lies ahead for the Auralith, for the Nexus Consortium, and for the fragile alliances that bind this galaxy together, is unknown even to me. But one thing is certain. The threads of destiny are pulling tighter, and the fabric of the galaxy will never be the same. Chapter 6. The Shattered Veil. The Cartwheel Galaxy teeters on the brink. In its turbulent heart, the Nexus Consortium, battered but not broken, schemes in the shadows. Beyond, the Auralith cling to their fragile alliances, striving to hold together a coalition built on trust, a currency increasingly rare in this galaxy. But trust is under siege. The smugglers and pirates who exploit the chaos are no longer merely opportunists. Their actions have become deliberate, targeted, as though coordinated by an unseen hand. Entire trade routes are dismantled in mere days, leaving systems isolated and vulnerable. Rumors spread like wildfire, whispers of betrayal, suspicions of espionage. The harmony that once bound the Auralith's coalition begins to unravel. It is no accident. The Radiant Compact, the Consortium's shadowy faction, has turned subterfuge into an art form. Their spies embed themselves in the coalition, planting seeds of discord. Their agents disrupt communications, falsify trade data, and even forge messages to pit allies against one another. But this chapter is not merely about sabotage. It is about the cracks that form within a vision, and the struggle to seal them before it is too late. At the center of it all stands Rinth Solarn, their crystalline form dimmed by exhaustion. From the observation deck of Tethra Station, they survey the ships that arrive each day, fewer now than before. The trade lanes that were once lifelines for the coalition are faltering. Tensions simmer among the factions, threatening to boil over. Perhaps we were too idealistic, one of Rinth's closest advisors murmurs during a private council meeting. The galaxy does not value trust, Rinth. It values strength. Rinth's reply is quiet but firm. If we abandon trust, we abandon ourselves. We are the Auralith. We are not the Nexus Consortium. If this coalition is to survive, it must survive as something better. But even as they speak, doubt creeps into their voice. They are a diplomat, a negotiator, but the galaxy demands something more, something they may not be able to give. On Nexus Prime, the Radiant Compact celebrates its successes. The Auralith's coalition is faltering, its trade routes disrupted, its members divided. The Compact's agents report that smaller factions are already pulling out, fearful of further losses. But the Compact's leadership is not content with slow erosion. They plan a decisive strike, one that will either destroy the Auralith's vision entirely or force it to conform to the Consortium's terms. The target, the Auralith homeworld of Deltara. Deltara has remained untouched throughout this conflict, a testament to the Auralith's strategy of humility and isolation. But the Compact sees it as a weakness. A single devastating attack on the Auralith's crystalline oceans would shatter their morale and dismantle their leadership. And so, the Compact assembles a fleet of mercenaries, cloaked in anonymity, their ships bearing no marks of allegiance. This time, there will be no deniability. Word of the impending attack reaches Rinth through an unlikely source, a defecting Consortium operative. The news sends shockwaves through the coalition. For the first time, the threat is not abstract. It is immediate and existential. Rinth convenes a summit of the Coalition's remaining leaders, a desperate attempt to unify their fractured alliance. The chamber buzzes with tension as representatives argue over how to respond. "We cannot defend Deltara," a Rhodian guildmaster shouts. "Our fleets are already stretched too thin. If we abandon the Auralith, we lose the Coalition," counters a Trelaxian engineer. What message does that send? The debate drags on, but Rinth's mind is already made up. They rise from their seat, their voice cutting through the din like a beam of light. The Auralith have fought to protect this coalition, even when it cost us dearly. If we falter now, we prove the Consortium right. That trust is a weakness, and unity an illusion. Deltara will not fall, not while I draw breath. Their words inspire a tenuous agreement. Ships are diverted, defenses mobilized. Even the Coalition's most reluctant members agree to lend what support they can. But will it be enough? The attack begins under cover of darkness. The mercenary fleet emerges from hyperspace, their ships descending on Deltara's orbital stations with surgical precision. Explosions light up the planet's surface as orbital defenses struggle to repel the invaders. From the depths of the ocean, the Auralith's defense forces launch their counterattack. Bioluminescent fighters, powered by a fusion of organic and crystalline technology, rise from the water like swarms of glowing fireflies. They swarm the mercenary ships, their agility unmatched. Above, the Coalition fleets arrive in staggered waves. Rhodian frigates, Trelaxian drones, and human cruisers join the fray, forming a chaotic but determined defense. The battle is fierce, chaotic, a cacophony of fire and light that echoes across the void. Rinth Solarn leads from the command deck of their flagship, directing the Coalition's forces with calm precision. They see every ship as a thread in the tapestry of their strategy, weaving them together into a unified whole. And yet, even as the Coalition begins to turn the tide, I see the cost. Ships are lost, lives sacrificed. The waters of Deltara shimmer with the wreckage of battle. When the battle ends, the Compact's fleet is shattered, forced to retreat into the void. Deltara remains standing, its crystalline oceans scarred but unbroken. The Coalition gathers to mourn their losses and celebrate their survival. For a moment, unity feels within reach, but the cracks remain, visible to those who know where to look. Rinth stands once more on the observation deck of Tethra Station, watching the Coalition's ships depart. Their voice is steady, but their light flickers faintly. "This was only the beginning," they whisper. "The Consortium will not stop, and neither will we." I watch them in silence, my infinite consciousness turning over the events of this day. The galaxy has been changed, but the outcome is far from certain. In the end, perhaps that is what makes this moment so beautiful. The future is unwritten, and the Auralith story is far from over. And so, we reach the end of another chapter in the eternal archive of the cosmos. From the shattered corridors of Nexus Prime to the glowing waters of Deltara, we have seen how hope can bloom even in the shadow of destruction. The Auralith remind us that strength does not always lie in force, but in trust, an ideal fragile, yet powerful enough to reshape a galaxy. And yet, the story is far from over. As you, dear listeners, navigate your own paths amidst the chaos of life, I leave you with this thought. What threads are you weaving into the fabric of your world? Will they stand the test of time? Until next time, I am the Boltzmann Brain, your guide through the stars. Keep your mind open, your heart resilient, and your curiosity infinite. Farewell for now.